You gotta... what? Okay, let's see if you can get your mount under control. Give me an animal handling check, please. Oh, yes. A 10 does not do much as you're trying to control your bird, but it's now freaked out about something or other, and you just can't seem to control it whatsoever. It was fine before, making you think that there's something else going on that the ethereal bird can sense, as you can sort of just barely sort of see the others starting to play up around you. Anything within range? There's a lot of ethereal wraiths around everywhere. Those things are like literally plastered across the sky. How many seconds? 15, 20 feet away? Okay, then roll to hit, please. And Ketsu, I would say with your ethereal sight, you see that at least these wraiths seem to also be present in the ethereal plane, from what you can tell. But other than that, nothing. Yeah, that most definitely hits as you sort of bring out your crossbow, completely overshoot this wraith. And meanwhile, as Alara is doing that, anything else, Alara? Okay, next I'm gonna go on to Shooter. Shooter, you're still falling at a similar pace to your opponent who's got their green flame blade out and sort of staring up at you with their sort of Tengu, like, demonic mask on. What are you doing? You do not. However, you do see that their pocket is bulging and you're about less than 500 feet up now. From the ground. From him, you're within range of your gun, but other than that, you're not within, like, any sort of melee range. You don't know. You don't know anything about the orb. Yeah, you don't know anything about the orb other than it's summoning all these wraiths. Okay. Roll to hit, please. I've got the wrong book out. I've just... a 24 most definitely does not hit. Most definitely does not hit. Does not hit. I know. I used the special ability of the stat block. Grants him extra AC as a reaction. Yes. Reaction. You don't know. You don't know how many times he can parry. Yeah. Yep. Then roll hit. Uh, 22 hits. Yep. Roll damage, please. 17. You sort of... yeah, you shoot him up and you manage to hit him in the shoulder, and you can see this sort of blood spurts out just a bit from the wound. But this guy is very much still alive and kicking. And next step here, as he's just gonna bring out his sword, and as you guys are sort of dropping, he's going to sort of stick it out into one of the pillars of the airplane citadel and attempt to sort of use that to sort of slow himself down. And you can see he sort of attempts to, but very much fails to do so. The sort of makeup of one of these pillars is really, really thick and strong. However, Alara and I'm gonna say Ketsu, since you two are focused on different things other than this fight, I would like you both to make me almost let's go actually, let's go religion. I think religion's more appropriate for this. Give me a religion check. $15 for you. Alara? Okay, so Ketsu, you would realize that the moon's very high up in the sky, and I'm going to get you to make me an Arcana check, please. Yes, please. Yes. A full moon. Oh, yes. Only 10, so you see the moon, and one thing you are very aware of is that the god Selune is, how do you put it, almost a lot stronger on a full moon and has greater influence over the material plane. And with a 10 on material, air doesn't really matter too much. But you get this sort of inkling as you feel like it's not too hard to feel the sort of thrum of divine magic, Ketsu. As Alara, you feel some sort of magic, but you don't know what it is. But same with you, Shooter, but Ketsu, I think, especially with you, feeling this sort of divine magic definitely reminds you of something. However, this divine magic is definitely not on your side, as suddenly a beam of moonlight shines down upon you, Shooter, Ketsu, and also the person you're fighting. And I need both you, Ketsu, and you, Shooter, to give me dex saves, please. I'm going to say he's... Are you diving down after this person? Ketsu? Yeah, then I would say you're probably in range of Shooter due to fly speed. What did you get? In terms of you, Shooter, you're definitely going to be taking the most amount of damage here, as you instantly sort of feel this moonlight wash over you, and you just faint in midair. Like, fully faint. Like, just like, your whole vision goes black, and you don't feel anything else. And Ketsu, as you're diving after this person, you feel this sort of faintness come over you as well, as you unfortunately don't succeed against the power of a god, really, and you can definitely feel how much power is behind this. As Ketsu, you take 68 damage. Yes, I said 68 damage. Why do you want me to do it 69? Okay, it's 69. And as you've... Yeah, I'm very much aware of that. As I am looking at Ketsu's HP at the moment. No, it's not sleep. It's... yeah, you could say it's almost a form of petrification, and Alara, you of course see this, but fortunately you're far enough away, as I think you guys would remember Rizra showing up. And Alara, as you see Rizra merely makes a dive for Ketsu, and the person with the orb sort of slashes out again, or attempts to at the pillar, and slows himself down to a halt, and sort of disappears into the airplane pillar. You almost feel like something's... how do we put it? else is off. You've felt this wave of divine energy sort of fall over the sort of battlefield. And then you feel this almost second wave coming from the direction of Rizra. What are you doing, Alara? Alara? Yes. The second wave of this almost second wave of magic sort of washes over the area, and you think it's coming from the direction of Rizra, who's making a dive after Ketsu and Shooter. You, Alara, you're probably at this point maybe, I'm gonna say 80 feet. Sort of like in terms of direction away, but in terms of how far, the rest are probably 500 feet below you. And very much nearing 800 feet as they fall. Yep, give me an animal handling check. I believe your bonus is +1 at the moment. 14, you finally managed to rein your bird in. And what are you doing now? Yes, they're everywhere. Okay, you sort of fly up to one of them as one is coming after you. Roll to hit, please. Twenty-three hits as you strike your sword through one of these and completely and utterly obliterate it. And meanwhile, I am going to roll. You're now, you now have this ability. I'll put that in general. And your maximum health decreases by 1, Alara. That's like the most useless version of any of them from what I rolled. Yeah, these things are everywhere. That's another hit as you strike another one down, and as you sort of pull, you also feel yourself sort of almost changing, becoming slightly more ethereal with this almost dark mist sort of creeping out of you. And you feel part of your sort of mouth begins to sort of drip away. But you've got Reaping Scythe now. Brisba's like diving like insanely fast, and I think they're probably around maybe 400 feet at you, but they're really quickly closing in on Ketsus. Ketsu and Shooter. Yes, Riz was on your side. And the dragon. Yeah. And bye, Marie. Yep, you begin sort of diving towards the rest of them, and as Shooter and Ketsu are falling, Alara, you see Rizra sort of dives and grabs Shooter, but Ketsu, who's a bit further down due to their fly speed at the moment, which is higher than Shooter's, you see they have to sort of go directly for Ketsu, and you hear this crash on the ground as you see the wings sort of envelop Ketsu, and everyone goes tumbling down. Oh yes, sorry. That's 2. 2 for maximum. And you just hear the crash across the ground, and the dragon stays sort of unmoving. So basically, Rizra's come down, grab Shooter, but Ketsu was a lot closer to the ground than Shooter, and thus Rizra had to sort of dive and sort of wrap Ketsu in their wings, and the dragon's crashed and is now unmoving, right next to the some broken sort of almost buildings at the next to the airplane citadel. Yeah, you drop down to check on Rizra, and give me a medicine check. Natural 1. You're honestly not sure about Rizra's condition. And you can't see Shooter nor Ketsu anywhere. It probably, at a fall with that Pharaoh bird, it probably only takes you like a single round. Yeah, you can land. Yep, you sort of hop off the bird. The dwarf, I believe, who was still on your bird, joins you. Tabaxi, never mind. Meanwhile, Ketsu and Shooter, you find yourself sort of waking up in almost darkness. It's kind of warm, and your surroundings feel very hard, and are quickly sort of cooling down. Yeah, you guys are both awake. Rizra. Yes. Rizra? Give me a medicine check, please. 15, you begin looking over Rizra, and you kind of realize with almost horror that as they crash, you're sort of like have to sort of like shove the wing almost off of you. You've seen like the whole side's been almost cut as this large almost pillar has cut right through their side, and it's oozing this blood. You are 5 HP. You may certainly try. Huge. I'm talking about maybe 4 or 5 hands wide and maybe 7 or 8 in length. Yeah, and Ketsu, you begin sort of trying to sort of heal up Rizra. And as you do, you just sort of almost feel them shift and sort of very like almost painfully left their wing, which you now realize is broken in several places, sort of off of you two. With both of you sort of working together, you managed to mostly close over the cuts, but you feel there's something still sort of wrong, despite Rizra being awake. Yeah, Ketsu, you go back to trying to heal them, and it doesn't seem, whatever you're doing doesn't seem to be working for some reason. Give me a medicine check, please. Actually, give me a perception check. There is something. $14. The sails on the pirate ship seem like they would make a good splint. Though it might be a bit hard to drag them down. What did you get on your medicine? A 4. You've got no clue. It's nothing you've really ever seen before. It's not something you've heard of. It's not something you're aware of. And, sure. Go ahead, Ketsu. You're thinking the symptoms, from what you can tell, they honestly seem... Rizra seems very dulled down. Like the almost I'd say that would be all you'll know. 18. Ketsu, you know a lot more. Do you know the effects that divine energy has on a creature, Ketsu? Have you heard of that, like, in any other game of D&D before? No. Well, divine energy is, how do we put this? Almost obscenely powerful. It's rarely known about. Not many people know what divine energy is or what it does, but you've heard of the effects where gods use their power to take over the bodies of mortals. It leaves them as often empty shells, and sometimes only the stronger-willed ones can keep it for a little bit longer time other than that. Normally especially powerful creatures, but eventually their mind just gets overrun by the energy. And suddenly, as this is all happening, Alara, you notice that all the wraiths begin sort of screeching and one by one disappearing. Yeah, and you hear some sort of explosions and booms coming from the center of the air citadel. One thing to note is that Aiden's dad, Raymond Clark, is nowhere to be seen. Yeah, you pull it out. Yeah. You bring up your Vow Keeper, and are you willing, because this is divine energy, are you still willing to do this? Because it's not necessarily a spell, so other things could happen. I will warn you of that. Are you sure you want to do this? And Alara and Shooter, you see Ketsu brings both hands on the sword and almost raises it high above the head as you feel this almost overpowering energy begins sort of going wild from around the sword as the sort of runes on it begin slowly lighting up. Anything you both are doing, Shooter and Alara? Yeah, you've sort of like gone up to go grab the sail. You're probably not back yet, but you can see this sort of energy occurring, and Raymond Clark almost limping out from some of the one of the parts of the air citadel, which seems to be almost broken up and in ruins now. And he's looking towards this. And Ketsu, as you raise your sword, you can almost hear some sort of whisper in your ear. Let's do this. As you bring down your sword down upon the ground. And I'll let you finish your typing. Ketsu. And you feel this almost power that you don't remember. It feels like you should know it, but at the same time, you haven't. As you bring down your sword, and I'm just gonna bring Alara and Shooter into Whispers real quick. You both, as Ketsu brings down the sword, feel another similar pulse of energy to the energy that you felt when Rizra appeared and when the moonbeam came down. I will note that. And Ketsu, you bring down the sword, and this sort of like bright white light sort of appears out of it. And then for a split second you find yourself in the Zenith realm, sort of standing there. Mostly a sort of strange water bubbling around. You say this, and as you say this, you begin looking around. Around you are these almost large, towering crystals, and you can see this path sort of going along this small sort of crevice. Seems to go further into whatever this location is. These strange, almost bubbles of light sort of floating around. Down the path, and as you walk down the path you hear these almost whispers. She's back. How long has it been? Forever. No, a very long time. She doesn't remember. Why would she? Not after all that. You sort of walk down the path as you can see this small stream underfoot. As you head down and you see in front of you Rizra, just sort of sitting at this small little pond, sort of touching it with the claw, their tail sort of wagging sadly, really. Almost twitching. She sort of looks down. Hello, kitten. As you walk over to her, you almost feel the need to stop right before her. She seems almost down, and you feel like there's something wrong and that you should know what it is. It's in your memory somewhere, but accessing it isn't easy. Almost tears sort of dripping from her eyes as she sort of tucks her paws and tail in close, still sort of staring at the sort of ripples that her tears are making on this small little pond. What do you think this place is? What do you think this realm, the Zenith, really is? The moment I accepted Mister's deal to save you, I knew what my fate would be. I'm not sure if there's anyone powerful enough in this world to change fate. I don't know if there is a way. I don't know if there is a way. As you pull out your sword, you notice your sword is still glowing. And meanwhile, as Ketsu is typing, Alara and Shooter, Alara, you bring down the sort of sail to begin wrapping up Rizra's sort of a wing. And Shooter, you've noticed that as Ketsu's brought the sword down, she collapsed, and Rizra, who was almost breathing, also eventually collapses. What are you two doing? You don't know, but all the wraiths have disappeared. And you can see Raymond Clark is literally stumbling over to you guys, like cuts everywhere across him, large gouges, and almost trailing this sort of a white mist behind him, which is sort of seeping from the cuts. Raymond Clark, the Astral. Sapia. He was the one attacking the vampire king. Nope, he was one of the big guys in the center fighting out. Yes. He's almost limping towards you guys. I'm fine. He's sort of like covering up one of his wounds with his hands to prevent the smoke from sort of seeping out. I'm okay, I just need a bit of a rest. And he sort of collapses onto one knee. Oh, you haven't been nefarious before, have you? It's like blood for us. Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. Thanks. Yeah. 10 HP. And he sort of like stops for a bit, like the holes at least are mostly cleared up. Still a few bleeding just a bit, but not as much as before. Thanks. That's a lot better. Thank you. From what you can tell, Ketsu is still breathing. They just seem to be in some sort of like an unconscious state. Almost like a coma state. Who? You head over to Rizra and no briefing whatsoever. The bombs, yes, you pick them all up. Yep. Yeah, you get back and still no response from Ketsu. Anyway, we need to help those who are in the fight. If possible. We need to sort out what's happening next. Let's head back to everyone else and grab some healers, and we'll get those to a safe place, and everyone else will work out what on earth is happening next. He sort of looks out, and maybe we just keep the dragon here. I don't think we can move it at this rate. And he starts sort of stumbling towards the direction of where he left everyone else who was still fighting the Wraiths earlier. The ship is still up in the air, it's not moving, there's nobody else on it, after all. Huh? Yeah, you can fly up there. And give me an investigation check, please. Uh, 14. The ship itself is completely sort of bare. There's absolutely nothing here. Strangely enough, it's almost as if they sent the ship here with the sort of plan that it would get defeated. Ship's made out of this weak wood, seems almost battered in several different places. The sails are missing, like there's quite a few broken holes in its hull. It generally seems to be in a state of disrepair. The boat is pretty much above the citadel. You hit sort of the bow of the ship, and do you happen to have proficiency with, like, ships? I could say you could pretty much fly a flying ship. Yeah, you just sort of look at the controls. The controls are pretty simple, just like a big wheel, and this sort of like a lever, and you just sort of flick the lever and begin driving this thing around. It's not too difficult for you to get a hand of. Yeah, and you head back to your ship. And meanwhile, Ketsu. You sort of pull out your sword and with tears in your eyes stab it into the ground, and Rizra looks up at sort of the pulse of energy coming from the sword, and you, like, nothing happens other than this sort of faint pulse of magic. What else are you doing, Ketsu? You say with sort of tears in your eyes, bring it up and just sort of bring it down on the ground. And again, you feel this sort of pulse of magic. And Rosebird's just sort of looking in your direction sadly. I knew the price of going to save you, kitten. You can't change fate no matter how hard you try. You know, many worlds call this place by a different name. Also, I've heard. Give me a perception check, please, Ketsu. Natural 20. You see her sort of almost hiding in the shadows, watching the scene. She flinches and steps out from the shadows into the light. I did nothing other than what she agreed to. She sort of looks down slightly, not saying a word. Give me persuasion. Whatever floats your boat. $18. You see, she just sort of looks down. When I felt the magic that Salune was gathering, I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just let you nor your group die. So, I did the only thing possible at the time. I reached out to someone who cared, who would be able to save you too. Rizra knew the consequences. had absolutely no choice. For I left you for dead. You and your friend. You're a little gunslinger friend. You're still alive, you know. Just pulled here for the time being. You had questions. And Rosemary had answers. That's not under my domain. You feel as if Mistra is hiding something from you, like some big secret, but she is definitely telling you the truth. But this isn't something she can do. As I said, there's nothing I can do. I'm limited here. Even interacting with you like this is pretty difficult at this time. I don't think you understand the politics of everything going on here. Nor the magnitude of things. You can't change fate, Ketsu. There's nothing you can do. And she just walks back into the shadows. Sure. With a 15, I would say she is definitely trying to hide something big from you, but she really is not doing a good job of it. From what you feel, she's got this secret that she seems to be hiding from you at all costs. And you're not sure why, but you had this almost faint inkling that she almost was feeling wistful about something, especially when she was talking to you about this. Nothing that would not hurt you. She does stop. Still shadow sort of overcasting her face, which is looking away from you. You might not have asked me to care about what might hurt you, but you see, she just pauses, not really willing to say anything more on the matter. Her head sort of tilts down. Says that, the reborn, almost whispers it, you barely hear it, and she takes off into the trees. The Reborn. Yes, that is what she said. That is what she whispered, almost as if she was afraid of saying it out loud. Have you heard of it? Give me a history check, and whilst that's happening, Alara and Shooter, what are you two doing? Yeah, the dwarf eventually shows up and he assists you, and you guys get it done pretty easily in 30 minutes. And meanwhile, Alara, what are you doing? Okay. Yeah, I'm curious now. I believe her wish, unfortunately, she lost the ability to use wish, if I remember correctly. But she didn't get to use the second one. Yeah, but she was the one who drew the card. Yeah, pretty much. So what are you doing in this sort of 30 minutes? You guys have like maybe a couple hours where Ketsu isn't going to be waking up for, so what are you guys doing within those hours? Yeah, you throw a fire up there, completely burn the ship, and just sort of stand there, sort of stare. Probably, are you gonna stand there and stare at the ship burning to pieces? Nah. Yeah, you leave and sort of join back up with Lemming / Keegan. Yeah, he's mostly been on the ground, just sort of fighting things out. He looks injured in a couple places, but he sort of looks up at you. Packering okay? You sort of look towards Lumi and you can see some of them, like, you can see their sort of like faces melted. You can see like the bottoms of their gums and teeth, which are almost flat, and their sort of eyes, and how like this sort of black wispy smoke is sort of like coming off their skin, and their skin is almost darkened somewhat. Yeah, you can see their sort of vampire teeth poking out. And you see the wolf almost looks guilty and just looks away, flattens its ears. You see the sort of wolf looks around to see if there's anyone else listening. I contacted a friend. A packmate. Shy? What was that? You didn't see Shy. Oh, you did see them in the vision. And remember, you did learn about that. Indeed. And the wolf sort of looks guilty again and sort of gives you like a curt nod. He sort of looks saddened. I'm sorry. I was not expecting his gift to work the way it did on you. Some call it gift, others a curse. He sort of looks a little bit confused and just sort of shrugs. You get the feeling he doesn't know. Nope. Pretty much, except you can see the sort of wolf is sort of growling and sort of pouring the dirt occasionally and barking. Shooter, you think you see the wolf turn to you and give you this like very toothy grin and like this almost hacking cough. The wolf sort of looks at you with his eyes. and gives a sort of nod. The wolf just sort of like, again looks guilty and shakes its head. And a shooter, you head over to where Resra is, and you can see there's quite a few sort of air elementals. There's the dwarf, the tabaxia around, and they seem to be sort of like glaring at Resra, almost with this sort of saddened look. Oh, there's one of your friends. Anyway, the medics had a look at your dragon friend here, the one you asked to sort of check over. They seem to be dead. And the other one seems to be in a coma. I can take you to them if you would like. What about your other friend? And shooter, you get escorted through the airplane temple. There's like scratches along the side, like there was a battle that went on in here. And part of the wall that you sort of notice has been blown out. Don't mind the state that everything's in. You saw the battle, right? Yeah. Raymond Clark went off here chasing after some person with some sort of item. Apparently. They've been captured now. But anyway, they sort of take you from this sort of winding area up a couple of stairs and a few gardens with like these sort of streams of water coming down the side of the building. And they sort of like takes you into a smaller room, which is looking a lot softer. There's sort of dim light, and you can see a few medics are sort of rushing around. There's people all over the different sides. There's a lot of people in here, and a lot of body bags. However, you see the droid tabaxi sort of leads you over to the corner where you find Ketsu and a medic sort of standing over them, sort of checking them over. This really isn't going well. Come on. What is going on? Sorry, I was paying more attention to the patient. Honestly, would say they're fine. They seem physically fine with a bit of healing, but they seem to be in some sort of coma. I think it might be magically induced. Well, there's a lot of things. Overexpenditure of magic. I've seen astrals go into comas before. They almost tap into divine energy sometimes. If they're healing. But other than that, I can only really name a few other instances. I'm trying to figure it out now, but it's not any sort of regular spell. And it seems to be their own magic, from what I can tell. tried to send the sword away to a smith to get it analyzed, but they won't let go of it. It's almost glued to their hand. You can't even touch the thing. And they sort of gestured towards the sword. Yeah. Give me an intelligence save, please. 23. You touch the sword. Feel this sort of searing, burning power. Like there's a whole heap of magical energy sort of entwined with the sword, and you have to like immediately sort of let it go and back off. I've sent for some of our higher magic officials to see if we can discover what sort of spells inflicting here and what on earth sort of enchantment is on that sword. But other than that, I'm struggling here. I'm sorry. Give me either an Arcana or a Religion check. Your choice. All the nat 20s today. 27. And you look at the sword and remember the sort of burning in your mind, and you don't think it's a spell. No, you think it's something to do with divine energy. But normally a person can't be exposed to divine energy this long if it is divine energy. No person can do that. That's ridiculous. You've heard the effects of divine energy on beings, even powerful ones. There's only one. Well, how long is it going to take you? Or are you just going to go? Okay. Ketsu, you back? I do not think Ketsu is back yet. Sophia? So, you're the only one here, so what do you want to do? I'll take you into Whispers for now. Is that better? Yeah, do you want to say out loud to the rest? Yeah, you are. There's like the dwarf who's still sort of hanging around, but he eventually leaves. Okay. Yeah, so you're planning on asking your wolf friend. So, yeah, you asked your wolf friend if he could potentially get in contact with Shy. And you see your wolf friend just sort of looks at you and just sort of shuffles his paws. What's favour? What much can do. Yes, was favor. The wolf sort of looks at you like you're being a bit idiotic almost. Not possible for you yet. He sort of nods, and I'm gonna bring you back in. And after he nods, he just sort of sits down next to you and just sort of lies down. And eventually you see the dwarf, the one that you know, comes up to you. So, it seems your curse is progressing. So you met the bugger. You met that damned wolf. You remember our creed, right? Kill all monsters. One day, our creed will be after you. Nobody wants another one like him, after all. I'm sure you know who he is. The one who felt Shire's influence a while back. You've heard stories about one of the wizards of the Monster Hunter Guild encountering Shy and falling, like, pretty much. He became a monster. Really. I would say it's the exact same. But anyway, you slowly weaken. So how many have you killed so far? Fast then. Well, if you ever become a monster, then he sort of pokes you on the chest, even though it's really short. I'll be forced to kill you. Keegan, don't let it get to that point. Don't let yourself fall or become a monster like he did. And he sort of gives you a nod and heads off to the airplane, into the airplane citadel. Indeed. However, we shall be getting back to Ketsu. They are. So what are you doing, Ketsu? Indeed, the reborn. It really feels like it should be familiar. The Reborn. It's not much. Mostly Keegan asking a few things and Ketsu being back. But in terms of the Reborn, you've heard legends. You've heard legends of beings being reborn into different worlds under the guise of a very old god who disappeared. I would say you're not entirely certain how long ago, but it was fairly recent history. Peyron had a few legends of these gods that sometimes, occasionally, the strong monks or those who still had left to do things were reborn by the Reborn into new bodies, new lives, and other things similar to that. Mistra ran off into the woods after saying they were born. She sort of looks at you, sort of gives this sort of like thinking expression. I've heard a few things about them, kitten. Namely the fact that they've vanished. But other than that, only maybe a few stories, legends, occasionally. It's like, there's like a few legends about dragons being, you know, reborn into other bodies. Or reborn as like different types of dragons. Occasionally. I really don't know. I also don't know why that god cares about you so much. I think we should also really address that. I thought I was the person who cared about you, little kitten. Not some god who runs off. But what's a dragon to say about the ruminings of a god? Despite that, the god was at least kind of helpful. I get to actually have my naps now, which I guess is nice. Despite the fact that I'm kind of... How do we put this dead? In all honesty, I think she seemed very freaked out, kitten. Maybe she was worried about something. Maybe it's some other god or whatever. 'Cause I'm honestly very confused. What's your relationship with her? Do you know her? that makes things more difficult. But what do you remember? That is strange. Is it like, I'm gonna presume it's sentient? Was it that sword that other guy was using? I don't even remember his name. I didn't like the sword. It had this sort of like, how do you put it? Dark energy around it. Oh, well that seems to be some sort of story. We've got all day. Interesting enough. So you're like, what, 1,000 years old or something? I don't think your species lived that long. Well, what happens when you put all that together? Put everything you know together and see if you can figure it out. There's obviously something going on. And with that, we shall head back to Shooter, who is currently sitting at Ketsu. And Keegan, you gonna go and try and join Shooter? Okay. And Shooter, what are you doing? There seems to be no change here. The sword is still, sort of glowing and occasionally pulses. With the sort of, it's got these strange sort of set of runes on it, and it pulses every now and then. Hopefully we'll get some information back, but if you want to search for information yourself on your friend's condition, I'd try the library. It's down the hallway. Keep going until you reach the sort of center of the citadel and then take a left. Yeah, you take a left and eventually find the library, which is huge. And like there's like books everywhere, a lot of them old and dusty. But what are you doing here? Where are you searching first? Is probably a better question. Yeah, and you remember them sort of something mentioning that it's something to do with like the overuse of magic, and also I believe I said you think it's some sort of divine energy. Give me investigation, please. Yes. 21. You're sort of looking around and discover a whole section on gods and things. Yeah, like gods, religion. You're looking through them, and there's quite a few, but eventually you see the book, this incredibly tiny little journal / book on divine energy. There's about 5 pages to this thing. No, it's like that's literally how much information they've got on divine energy. Yeah, there's not much on it. The first page is about how divine energy is gathered by almost incredible amounts of worship. Pretty much. Almost, it's gathered by faith. But divine energy itself is only really known to be wielded by very few individuals in the past, and it's got a list of maybe only a few people. You see Ravenclaw's sort of listed underneath it, and the reason of divine energy usage and of no death was because he was an Astral, so he just ended up reviving, not without a few permanent injuries from the usage of divine energy. There's another name in there, Faye, next to it, called Not Immortal. The next thing left is a couple more Astrals. There's like 1 or 2 mortals who managed to use it for like maybe 30 seconds at most, but all ended up dying from the usage of it. And other than that, it's mentioned that mostly only Astrals and gods are really the only ones who have ever been sort of said to be able to survive sort of high amounts of divine energy coursing through them. Reversing divine energy. Divine energy itself is not really easily reversed from what you can gather here. It's above powerful. It's above 9th level. Is basically what's happening. There's no other books on it, but divine energy itself is basically what normally causes ascension into godhood, normally, if it's gathered into one person by faith, and that's normally the only time, one of the other only times someone could actually wield it. But other than that, there's no other books. There's absolutely no more information on divine energy itself. There's just too little of it. So even in a massive library like this, there's just no details on it. Yeah, you did see the symbols, and I'm gonna guess you could have noted it down beforehand. It's not... What languages do you know? Common and Draconic. I would say you wouldn't know the sort of names on the sword, so you're probably gonna need to find a rune book. Yep, give me investigation, please. 25. Also, by the way, Keegan, you gain the benefits of a short rest while this is all happening. With a 25, you're looking around, and eventually you find another section of the library, which is very dusty. It doesn't seem many people use this section much. However, you find an old tome on a bunch of sort of different runes. It takes you a while, but eventually you discover the right book and begin your translation sort of job. So give me an intelligence check, and if you have proficiency in, I'm going to say, what proficiencies do you have in terms of tool proficiencies? Yep. So add your proficiency bonus, please. To your intelligence check. Forgery. Yep, it comes under the definition in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Yeah, honestly, don't ask. It's under there. A 9. You're struggling with sort of translating the runes. It's almost as if the runes don't want you to translate them. Yeah, you're doing light activity anyway, so it takes you a little bit before you get your short rest. But you spend an hour... Yeah, you spend about an hour on this thing, and yeah, you're really struggling with this. You maybe, done one word, and that is the word vow. I would say no. You've got it in your hands right now, except it wasn't particularly well written. A grenade does not help. No, the book isn't damaged, it's just really old. But yeah, you might end up having to ask around to see if anyone knows the language at this point. It seems to be something to do with Asimas. So, Asimas. Basically, it's almost like this angelic race, which very humanoid with wings, pretty much. They're not really an angel. They're not descendants of God. From what you know, they're pretty much like humanoids. They normally come from the occasional human. Like, it's like really rare, and occasionally two humanoids will give birth to an asthma. Yeah, you find it pretty easily. Pretty much, you're just looking for somebody who has wings and almost this very sort of pale, but sort of they pretty much look human, but fairer, pretty much. Give me a history check, please. Uh, 17. You think one of the healers? You saw one of them, they might have been an asthma? Yeah, you go up to the front and you see this almost frog-looking guy just sort of sitting there on the desk. Hello. You want to check out books? He sort of looks onto sort of the side and grabs out a token. Hand, please. He sort of places a token on your hand, sort of clicks, and you can see this sort of bond of energy sort of flies up to the wall real quick, and you can see your name disappears on it. He takes the token back, and you can see this little stamp with the sort of air citadel on it, and 2 books on it, sort of signifying which books you've got out. Thank you very much. And he sort of slides the books over to you. Yep. Yeah, you leave and head off to go find the angel, and you make your way to the healer's area, and give me a perception check, please. Oh, you'll be fine. You'll do it. Let's go. Keegan, Ketsu, let's cheer for this guy to get a good perception. 10. It's not that bad. Yeah, you're looking around, and there's a lot of nurses in here, but most of them are fairly unique. There's not too many humans, so it doesn't take you too long to pick out the person. He succeeded! It wasn't a very difficult check, to be honest. And you see that almost very human than others, just sort of watching over a patient, sort of bandaging up one of their legs and casting what seems to be this sort of healing magic on them. Give me a second. And it continues healing, and soon enough, he sort of finishes sort of bandaging it and places it down and looks up at you. Yes? Yeah, he's sort of sitting on this stool at the moment. He's sitting on an incredibly small stool at the moment. He's not particularly big, this guy. Yeah. Let's go with that. He's just sort of looking at you. So, what did you want? Oh, yes, I am indeed. And you sort of hand over a piece of paper. I could do that. This reads Valkeeper, Reborn. So you've heard the legends, right? Of the Reborn? Oh. Well, I would suggest looking up the Reborn in the library. I'm sorry, I wouldn't normally tell you the legends myself, but I'm a bit busy. You're welcome. I'm glad I could help. Though I'm not certain why you had those runes in the first place. I'm glad I helped. Yep. And Keegan, are you doing anything? Yeah, you're sort of looking for a shooter, and eventually someone just brings you to where he would be, and you see Shooter just sort of heads out of the door, and he's got books in his arms and seems very focused on things. Yep, you head back to the library and just immediately head back in. And yeah, feel free to give me your investigation check. And if you tell Keegan what's going on, you may roll at advantage. The Reborn. What did you get? Yes. I already said that. With a 25, you search the library and come on the section of lore. And you have to search through a couple of books, but eventually you find a section dedicated to the Reborn. And what sort of part of the page are you going to start with? Are you going to start directly at the start? Are you going to start with this whole section's pretty big. There's a lot of different legends, little mini pieces of lore that Yep. There's a lot on the legends, lore, details on who the Reborn is in terms of Asima and Reborn lore, and the story of the of Fernandia and the Zenith. And it's got sort of in brackets Zenith, the Zenith realm. Yeah, you just like, under some maybe divine will, you have this almost flawless Shooter, as you feel this sort of divine whims from who knows where that you've felt before. And yeah, you can also feel the whims of someone you really want to kill. And yeah, you flip open the page, and what is Keegan doing as Shooter's just like flipping open this book? Yeah, you two are just sort of sitting down at like a couch, just sort of looking over the book, and yeah, you guys are just sort of like looking over it. Keegan's looking over your shoulder as you're doing this, and the Zenith realm chapter is honestly very small. The Zenith realm, also known to some as Vernandia, is basically a spirit realm, pretty much. And it's said that the location is incredibly strange from the memories of the Reborn, who have once again sort of stalked this earth coming from Fernandia. There's a lot of stuff there. It's basically, main things you need to know is it's a spirit realm. and that those people who die go there. You're not sure? What other parts of the book are you looking at? Are you going to look at the parts of who's the reborn, like, what are the reborn? Two different things here. You've got reborn and the reborn. You sort of start looking at this, and immediately you can see under the reborn chapter, it's like a saying to say that someone who has died and has been reincarnated according to legend by the reborn god, who apparently, you can see these sort of notes being sort of inserted into the book. Almost maybe, you're thinking it was from recent history at least, just sort of noting down that the god has gone missing and there's been no more instances of Asimas or other sort of types of reborn ever since that has happened. But the chapter on reborn details a god who works in the Zenith realm with another god called Mistra. And they are responsible for almost bringing people and reincarnating them back into the world. I'm sending this in general. I'm sorry, Ketsu. I'm sending your this. You don't know, Ketsu. You don't know. I'm just gonna say that. I think a few people have connected a few dots around here. Mistra. Yes. Oh, it 100% helps, and I think Keegan and Ketsu have realised that part. Don't do it, shoot it. It's gonna be more funny if you when you figure it out on yourself. And face the consequences. Anyway, that is the end of today's session, except for Ketsu, who's going to be joining me for a bit of one-on-one time after this. So, favourite moment, Keegan? Shooter, favourite moment? It was a pretty like slow session. Quite a bit of lore reveals in terms of a couple players, namely Keegan and Ketsu. Nothing quite yet for you, but I've got plans. I do want to talk to you. Yeah, hopefully we'll have a more interesting session next time. But, Shooter? Shooter, I do want to talk to you at some point about working on your backstory, because I would like to bring it in, so I'll talk to you about that at some point. But... Anyway, Ketsu, favourite moment, please. I have a funny feeling I know what you're gonna say. Do you want to say what... Keegan, feel free to say what your speculation is. Yeah. I think the most important person in this equation sort of figured out what your realization is. Who knows? I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna resurrect her. I'm not resurrecting Rizra. I am. I'm not. It's not to do with Mistra. It's a very similar name, unfortunately. Mistra is, God. You've got no clue. You haven't met them. Exactly, they're God. That's all you need to know. Anyway, Ketsu, I'm gonna... Sure.